Hello there, my name is Vic, and today I will be showing you how to configure your standalone streaming/encoding computer without the help of a capture card. In order to do that, we need to create a bootable USB drive with an operating system onto it in order to install it on our standalone PC. And to do that, I will be using Rufus to create the bootable drive, and my operating system of choice will be Ubuntu 16.10 Minimal. Now, after I've installed the operating system, I will be using VirtualBox to show you guys the steps required to configure that computer. So I will be using a virtual machine and installing Ubuntu 16.10 Minimal on it, and then show you the process. Now, before I start this tutorial, I wanted to mention that all the links for all the files that will be used in this tutorial will be found in the video description. Alright, now to configure the USB thumb drive, I will be using Rufus. So I'm going to open it straight away. And the next step is to insert my USB stick into the computer, which I'm going to do right now. Rufus should be able to figure out which USB stick straight away, which it did, right? And the next thing we need to do is just click on this little icon right here and select Ubuntu 16.10 Minimal. Now, after I've done that, I'm going to rename the volume to Ubuntu 16.10 Minimal. And after doing that, I'm going to be pressing the Start key. Now, you will get a lot of warnings afterwards. You're just going to have to press OK on all of them. So this one warns you that this image is an ISO hybrid, and it recommends to write it in ISO image mode. I'm going to press OK. And it's also going to warn me that I will be losing all the data on the USB drive. No problem. I'm going to be pressing OK. Now, we're going to wait for this to finish. This should take around 20-25 seconds because this is a minimal image of Linux, of Ubuntu 16.10 actually. This is not the whole package. Everything else will be downloaded from the internet. So make sure that once you do install Ubuntu on your computer, you have an internet connection. All right, so this is done. The next thing to do is to insert the USB drive into your dedicated or standalone streaming/encoding PC and boot it up. Alright, so now that you have your bootable USB drive with the Ubuntu 16.10 Minimal on it, it is time to install it on your dedicated streaming/encoding computer. Now, for the purposes of this tutorial, I will be using VirtualBox with a separate instance of a virtual machine to install Ubuntu. But you guys are going to be doing it on your standalone PC, the actual hardware. The process is the same, so don't worry about anything. So I'm going to be starting VirtualBox right here, and I'm going to start my virtual machine called Ubuntu Tutorial. And now I can close VirtualBox. And now it's asking me to give it a bootable USB drive. Now I can either use my USB drive that I've just set up in the previous step, or I can just use the image from my desktop because this is a virtual machine. So I will be using this one. And once I press start, what's going to happen is exactly what's going to happen on your end when you boot from the USB drive. So I'm going to start that. VirtualBox is going to open. And this is the screen that you will be greeted with. Instead of doing install, we're going to go to command line install. And this is going to boot. This is going to take a while, so don't worry. Don't get scared by the archaic user interface. We want this so that we achieve the maximum performance, so that we squeeze every single ounce of performance out of that computer. Whereas if you actually use the graphical interface on your operating system, that will slow it down just a tiny bit. So we're going to select English. Now, because I'm not from United States, I will be choosing Other and Europe, and I will be going to my country, which is Romania. But you can select whatever country you want. Now, we're going to select the locale, which is basically the language of the operating system. I'm going to be using the United States. I do not wish to detect my keyboard. I will be using the United States layout, which is English US. Alrighty. It's going to detect the network hardware straight away. Now make sure you have your computer connected to the internet before you boot the OS. That is important because this image of Ubuntu 16.10 minimal is not complete. This is the minimal version so that you can straight up go to a computer, boot it, and then download the rest of the files off the internet. Now, it's configured the network and it's asking me for a host name. I will be using streaming as the host name of the PC, and I'm going to press enter. And yes, I will be downloading from the Romanian mirror of Ubuntu, but you can choose whatever other mirror you want, which is closest to you. Ubuntu should detect that automatically. And I do not want any proxy. All right. Now we're going to wait for this to process. Alright, now that it's downloaded all the files, it's asking you for the username of the new user. Now this is a full name, so I'm going to be typing my full name, which is John Doe. Of course that's not my name, but it doesn't matter. That's just a name. So now the username for my account should be John, or if you typed your full name, it's going to be your middle name using John. Now it's going to ask you for a password, and I'm going to use 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Or 0, and it's going to ask it again 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. Now it's asking you whether you want to encrypt your home directory, so I'm going to select no. Now it's going to ask you about your time zone. Yes, that is my time zone. All right, and now it's retrieving more components, more additional components. So I will be right back when this finishes. Okay, so now it's going to ask you whether you want to partition the hard drive or use the entire disk. Now, I would recommend for a streaming PC to have a small SSD so that it starts fast, and you don't need a lot of storage unless you're actually recording the footage as well. But you could do that if you want. Use like a 1 terabyte hard drive and use the entire disk. But this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to partition it. I'm not going to set up an encrypted LMV or do it manual. I'm just going to use guided, use the entire disk. And it's going to automatically detect the hard drive. Now, for this tutorial, I specifically created a 10 gigabit virtual hard drive. So I'm going to be using that. And yes, I do want to write the changes to the disks. Now it's going to install the base system and everything. Once this is finished, I will be right back. All right, now that it's finished setting up all the files, it's asking you whether you want to install the Grub bootloader onto the hard disk, and you will select yes. I will be installing the Grub bootloader to the master boot record. And I will be selecting yes. This system is using the Coordinated Universal Time, UTC. Installation is complete. So now that the installation is complete, I'm going to go to optical drives and remove disk from virtual drive, and I will force mount. Now once that's done, I'm going to press continue, and the system will reboot. Now what I've done there is equivalent to you unplugging your USB thumb drive from your computer. And now don't be discouraged by this. Once this happens, it's all right. If your system does not boot automatically into this screen, you can press Control Alt F1 and it's going to take you to this console. If you get stuck on that image with the SDA check, don't worry, just press Control Alt F1 and it will take you to this screen. So congratulations, you've just installed Ubuntu 16.10 onto your dedicated streaming slash encoding computer. Now that you've installed Ubuntu onto your dedicated streaming slash encoding computer, it is time to configure it. And we're going to do that by compiling and installing Nginx with the RTMP module. That is going to be the replacement for the lacking capture card that we do not have or we're not going to use. And to do that, we're going to log into our Ubuntu session. Now, remember that in the previous step, when we installed Ubuntu, we set up a username and password. So I'm going to log in with that right now, John, and 123456789 And you're going to be prompted with this MOTD, or message of the day, or whatever. Now, before we do anything on this machine, first let me clear the screen. We're going to have to update our packages, and we do that with the following command: sudo apt get / space update. And it's going to ask us for the password again, so we're going to input it again, and it's going to update the packages that Ubuntu uses. All right, now that step is done. I'm going to clear the screen again. I'm going to clear the screen after each of these steps. The next step is to download the dependencies required to compile, install, and set up Nginx with the RTMP module. And we're going to do that with the following command: sudo apt-get install build essential, hold on, all right, libpcre3 dev, libssl dev, and unzip and ffmpeg. These are the dependencies required for this project. Now, it's going to tell us after this operation is done, 494 megabytes of additional disk space will be used, and we're going to type yes, and we will let it do its thing. This is going to take a while, so I'll be right back once this is finished. Congratulations, you've just installed the dependencies required to compile and install Nginx with its RTMP module. Now I'm going to clear the screen again. The next thing we need to do is to download the source code of both Nginx and its RTMP module, configure it, and compile it, as well as install it. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now with the following commands: wget http nginx.org/download/nginx -1.9.15.tar.gz. We're going to press enter. That's going to download the source codes for Nginx. Now we're going to need to download the RTMP module as well with this following command: wget https://github.com/root/nginx -rtmp-module/archive/master.zip. We're going to let it download that as well. Now it's finished downloading. The next thing we need to do is to unpack these archives, and we're going to do that with the following commands. I'm going to unpack the Nginx tar.gz archive with the following command: tar -zxvf, all right, Nginx -1.9.15.tar.gz. That is the archive, and it's going to unpack it straight away. Now I'm going to unzip the master archive for the RTMP module with the following command: unzip master.zip. And now it did that. And we're going to move to the Nginx folder with the following command: cd Nginx -1.9.15. Some of you might remember this command from the Windows command line utility. It basically does the same thing. Now that we've downloaded and unpacked the archives, we're going to have to configure Nginx, compile it, and install it. And we're going to do that with the following 3 commands. /configure -- with -http_SSL_module space --add -module equals /nginx -rtmp -module -master. And that's going to configure it with the RTMP module. Now that we've done that, we're going to type make. That's going to compile it. And we're going to wait for this to finish. And once this is finished, we're going to install the compiled Nginx. All right, now that that's done, we're going to install our compiled binaries with the following command: sudo make install. And that's it. We've just downloaded the source code, unpacked it, compiled it, and installed it onto our machine. I'm going to clear the screen right now, and we're going to start Nginx with the following command: sudo. Before we do that, I'm actually going to check the IP of this machine so that I can show you guys that Nginx is installed. And we're going to do that with ifconfig. And I can see right now that the IP address is 192.168.167. And I'm going to do on my computer the following thing. I'm going to open Chrome. All right. And I'm going to type in that IP as soon as I start Nginx. And to start Nginx, before we set up the service, we're going to use this command: sudo /user/local/nginx/sbin/nginx. And I'm going to clear the screen. And I shouldn't have done that. ifconfig. I will use that again so I can see the IP. And now I'm going to go to this IP to show you guys that Nginx is actually installed. And there we go. We've successfully installed Nginx onto our standalone streaming/encoding computer. The next thing we need to do is to configure it to run automatically on startup, and to configure it to capture footage from our OBS program and then send it to Twitch at a reasonable bitrate. All right, now that you've installed Nginx onto your dedicated streaming/encoding computer, it is time to configure it to auto start on boot, because we wouldn't want to have to do everything manually. And in order to do that, we're going to have to create a service file within systemd. Systemd is an utility of Ubuntu which auto starts processes. But since we've compiled and installed Nginx instead of using the already available binaries online, we are going to have to create our own service file. And to do that, we're going to use the following command: sudo nano/lib/system/nginx.service. All right, and that created a new file for us in that directory. And in this file, we're going to type the following thing: unit with the bigger brackets and capital U. All right, description equals a high performance web server and a reverse proxy server. After network target, we want this to start after the we have acquired a network address, basically, so that it works. All right, service type forking, because we want it to work in the background. PID file. All right, user local nginx /sbin /logs/nginx.pid PID. That is our process ID file that is stored every time a process runs. After this, let me make sure that that is the correct folder. User local nginx logs nginx PID. Okay. Then exec start pre. This is the command that's going to be executed before everything starts. User local nginx sbin nginx. All right. -t -q -g apostrophe daemon. We're going to repeat this a bunch of times, so don't worry about it. Master process on. This is we're basically creating a service file right now, which is going to take a while. Exec start. This is going to start a process. User local nginx sbin nginx -g daemon on master process on and apostrophe. All right, exec reload. That's the next one. User local nginx sbin nginx -g. You see, that's why I'm saying we're gonna repeat this a lot. Daemon on master process on, and then here we're gonna add a -s reload, and then exec stop is what's gonna happen, or what's gonna kill the process. / sbin / start stop daemon - quiet. We don't want to get any errors. - stop. We want to stop it. - retry. Quit 5. So basically retry after 5 seconds in case it couldn't stop the process. - PID file. This is basically so that it eliminates the process ID file. User local nginx /logs /nginx dot PID. And now timeout stop sec equals 5 and kill mode equals mixed. All right, and then install. We want to install it for the following user: multi-user dot target. And that is basically it. That is our service file that we have just created. And to save it, we're going to press Control O and enter. It just wrote 16 lines. If you're not sure whether it did it or not, you can press Control O, enter again. And then to close this, we're going to press Control X and then clear the screen. All right, now that we've created the service file, all we have to do is enable it and then start it, and then check if it actually started. So we're going to do that with sudo systemctl enable nginx.service. And we've actually enabled the service. And now we're going to start it with sudo systemctl start nginx.service. And there you go, it started it. And now we're going to use sudo systemctl status nginx.service to check whether or not it's running, which indeed it is. So we've just configured nginx to start on boot, and I will show you that in a second now. By just restarting my machine. So machine reset. I've just reset it. All right, it's going to start up again. And of course, you're going to get this message a lot when you start the OS, but don't worry, nothing's wrong. You press Control Alt F1 if you don't get this screen straight away. I'm going to log in. All right. Now that I've logged in, I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to check the status of nginx. And there you go. Nginx started with the startup. As soon as I booted my computer, Nginx started. All right, now that we've configured Nginx to start on boot, we have to actually configure it to work with Twitch, to actually listen to our OBS application, capture everything that OBS sends to it, and then encode it down to a lower bit rate and maybe a lower resolution, and then send it to Twitch. And we're going to do that with the following command. First, we have to stop the service, and we're going to do that with sudo systemctl stop nginx.service. And we're going to check to see that nginx is actually stopped. And there you go. It's loaded and it's inactive. That's great. All right, so now we can go ahead and configure nginx with our settings that we want to use. And we're going to do that with this command, sudo nano user local nginx/conf/nginx.conf. And this is going to open the nginx configuration file, or nginx. I'm just going to call it nginx. All right, so we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, leave an empty row, or an empty line basically, and we're going to type rtmp, all right, and then server listen on port 1935, chunk size, we're going to use 8192, which is 8 megabits basically. All right, and then we're going to type application transcode live on. Hold on, let me type that on the, all right, live on, record off, because we don't want to record. And that's it. We've basically just configured it to listen to our signal. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to exit. All right. And now I'm going to start nginx again. So nginx, got to start nginx.service. And I'm going to check the status as well. There you go. It's running. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my OBS. Hold on a second. I'm going to open my OBS, which is classic because I'm already recording with another OBS version. All right. And I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to go to encoding. You can stream with whatever bitrate you want. I'm going to use X264, and it doesn't matter. I'm just sending like a small data packet, so 2500 bitrate should be fine for now. But for our purposes, when you stream to nginx, you're going to be using NVIDIA NVENC or QuickSync or AMD VCE, whatever you have, and you're going to be streaming at least 25,000 bitrate 1080p. But for now, I'm going to be using 2500 with X264, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to check my machine's IP, which is 192.168.167, and I'm going to type that in here, 192.168.167, transcode, right? It doesn't matter what I put here yet, but I put Twitch over here. I just typed Twitch. You can type whatever you want, just as long as you remember it, but I suggest you type Twitch over here. Now I'm going to apply, all right, and now I'm also going to open VLC. So let me just open VLC straight away. All right, I've opened VLC. And technically, if I go to Open Network Stream, 192.168.167, I believe, yes, /transcode/Twitch, I should get an image. So I'm streaming right now to my nginx server, and I'm going to play. And technically, there you go. I'm literally sending to my nginx installation footage. So we've just tested that it works. The next thing we need to do is to set it up so that after it receives the footage, it sends it to Twitch. Let's do that right now, shall we? First, we got to stop the service once more. All right. We're going to check to see that it's stopped. All right. That's good. And now we're going to edit the nginx config again with the following command: sudo nano, all right, user local nginx /conf /nginx.configuration. We're going to go all the way to the bottom. Okay. And right here where we have application transcode, we're going to add another line called exec ffmpeg. If you guys remember, we actually installed ffmpeg at the beginning of this tutorial because we were going to use it here. So we're going to type the following command step by step: exec ffmpeg -i rtmp / localhost 1935. All right, transcode. This is important. It's got to be the same as the application. It's easier to remember that way. And then /twitch. This is basically the stream key that we put into OBS. Now minus vcodec libx264 minus preset faster. Now, depending on how fast your CPU is, you can lower this from faster to medium or to slow. For my computer, which uses an Intel Haswell Refresh G3258 overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz, so it's a dual core, I cannot run medium or slow, so I'm going to run faster. But the quality improvement, no matter if you use faster or not, or if you use very fast, it's still amazing compared to streaming from one PC. That's why we're doing this. We're setting up a separate streaming / encoding computer. So faster minus x264 ops. Now minus HRD equals CBR :force minus CFR equals 1 keyint equals 60 minus R30. This is basically the amount of frames we want to send to Twitch. If you want 60, you can type 60 here, but I will be typing 30 because I'm streaming at 30 FPS. Minus B :V 3500K. This is basically the bit rate that you send to Twitch. Not the bit rate that you send to nginx, but the bit rate that nginx sends to Twitch. So if you want to stream at 3500 kilobits per second, type 3500 here. If you want to stream at 2500K kilobits per second, type 2500K. I'll be streaming at 3500K. And then we're also going to type minus max rate 3500K minus buff size 3500K. Okay. Minus threads. This is the amount of cores your CPU has. If you have a dual core CPU without hyperthreading, type in 2. If you have a quad core CPU without hyperthreading, type in 4. If, however, you have a quad core CPU with hyperthreading, that means you have 4 cores and 8 threads, you can type 8 here because you have 8 threads for your CPU. So you gotta check your CPU to see how many threads it has, and then that's the amount that you type in here. Now, my CPU has 2 threads, 2 cores, 2 threads, so I'm gonna type 2. All right, minus S 1280 by 720. This is basically the resolution that I want to downscale to. All right, so I'm streaming at 1080p to nginx, and then nginx takes the 1080p footage, downscales it to 720p, and then sends it to Twitch. Minus SWS flags bicubic. This is the downscaling filter that you're going to use. You can type bicubic here or Lanczos, or you can type spline. Now, I believe that bicubic offers the best quality, so I'm going to be using bicubic. Minus a codec copy minus f FLV. Do not change FLV to MP4 or anything else. Leave it as FLV. RTMP / localhost 1935 /live/Twitch. So basically, we're going to send this downscaled footage to another application on our nginx server called Live with the stream key Twitch. Right? Now that we've typed this, all right, we can go straight ahead and create another application called Live, the one that we're going to send the footage from transcode to. So in application Live, we're going to enable the live transmitting of data. We're going to disable recording, and we're going to push our footage to Twitch. And we're going to do that with the following command: push rtmp : / and then you can find this information on Google if you type Twitch ingest servers. For example, I will be pushing the footage to live minus cdg. I believe it's cdg. Let me just see. So Twitch ingest servers. There you go. I just have it. So from here, we can choose whatever ingest server we want to send to. I want to send to Paris, France. So I'm going to type live cdg dot twitch.tv /app/ and then this is where you input your Twitch key right here, and then colon. So basically you're gonna replace this Twitch key right here with whatever streaming key you get from your Twitch channel, and that's it. That's basically it. Once you've done this, make sure you add the proper column. So basically end application live, and then end server, and afterwards you got to end RTMP, and that's it. Once we've done this, we're going to save with Control O. Once again, if you're not sure whether or not it's saved, we can press Control O twice and then Control X to close, and then we're going to clear the screen. Now that we've configured it, we can start Nginx again. All right, we've started it, and now we can check the status, and it's working perfectly. So now, if we want to send information to Twitch, all we have to do is open OBS and start streaming. But we're not going to stream at this bit rate. We're going to stream at 25,000 kilobits per second with the NVIDIA NVENC preset. All right, and then we're going to go to video. Yes, I want to apply. And we're not going to downscale at all. We're not going to downscale. We're going to stream 1080p to the server. And then in advanced, set it to automatic. This way, when you stream to your dedicated streaming / encoding computer, you do not stream at a lower quality. You're actually streaming at the maximum bit rate that you set here, because you could set here to 100,000 for example. But if you do not have this on automatic, it's going to be capped at the high quality bit rate or the high performance or the Blu-ray disc bit rate. So make sure it's automatic there, and then 25,000 kilobits per second here. And that is basically it. That's all we have to do. And to make sure that Nginx works, we're going to go again to this IP, and there you go. You've got Nginx set up properly. There's nothing else you need to do in order to make your computer accept RTMP data and then send it to Twitch, downscaled and encoded. So thank you guys. I'm going to log out of this machine. Thank you for watching. I will see you some other time in another tutorial. I hope that this tutorial was useful to you and it helped you set up your own dedicated streaming / encoding computer.